Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, since we have a worldwide audience. My name is Jody Parker, and I'm on the Synergy team and the Summit Lead for Thriveolution. I'm so excited to have all of you here today to learn from who I think of as the whiz kid, our WealthTribe leader, Robert Patyk. And Robert and I were just talking before the call, and I'm just going to throw it to you right now, Robert. You said at 10 years old, you started trading. And I want to start there as people are still coming into the room before we give the Thriveolution introduction. What are we? Who are we? I want to know what 10-year-old starts trading stocks. How did that even happen?
Well, like you can imagine, any 10-year-old, you do anything you do at that age, it's got to be a hobby, right? It's got to be your passion, because you could literally practically do anything at that age. So for me, that happened to be, I was born in Australia. I moved to Canada at the age of 8. A year later, I switched from almost doing tennis lessons to signing up for ice hockey skating lessons, right? At the same time, I started almost learning how to do every book, article, and magazine that crossed my path to do with trading, investing, the economy, the stock market. And, back then it was the old fashioned way of doing things. You have to read it in the newspaper. I remember we didn't have decimals, we had fractions. So stocks were still and 5/8. And we did everything over the phone to make transactions happen. These days, you do everything electronically and online, and it's instantly at your fingertips. Much different adaptation. And I lost a lot of money. I won't lie. I've actually made every possible mistake you can probably think of. And that's why, I know the importance of having someone to be like a mentor to help show the shortcuts. That's, and back then it was hard to come across. It's hard to come across someone that is, got the results you want. Let's say someone's extremely wealthy, they've done really well in the markets, but they're also willing to share their secrets. It's also very difficult to find someone that has the results and they actually walk the walk, willing to share it, and then also is good at presenting the information in the understandable format, and then not even trying to charge rip-off rates, right? So, I'm not about that. I'm about, win-win, sharing. And I have this belief, you're always, success is first helping as many other people become successful first. That's something I believe, and that's why I'm willing to always share my input, because I know how difficult it can be when you lose $42,000 in high school not knowing what you're doing, wiped out from the tech bubble crash of the 2001 era. And then I learned my lesson, what to look out for, what are the warning signs and stuff like that.
Well, so then we're in good company, because if you've made all the mistakes, you can keep us from making those. So I think with that, I know you have a presentation, and we do need to explain to everybody what Thriveolution actually is. So if you want to go ahead and share your screen, and we'll start that. So welcome to the Thriveolution. Go ahead and take it on to the next part there. So Thriveolution, we are the network of networks. We are working in the 12 sectors of human endeavors to really be the change we wish to see in the world, connecting all of the change makers across the world and taking action. And so today's call is about taking action as we face this new economic chaos that we know is coming our ways. And then there's a 13th sector, and that is worldview. That is one world. That is all of us coming together and collaborating to really create the world we want to see in, as the old world, as we say, burns itself down around us. Go ahead, Robert. So this was started with the Thrive movies. We are not related as an organization to Thrive and Thrive 2, which are documentaries from Foster Gamble. However, it is the same idea. Let's find a way to thrive through this. Let's be the solutionaries and create it all. And you can see these amazing logos that Omsira Berry from Singapore made for us for all our different tribes. Now, what's a tribe? That's just the group of people coming together to create these changes and working together in collaboration. And definitely we are surrounded by people I feel inspired by. I hope you guys do today. Your vibe attracts your tribe. There's all of us leaders that are in Thriveolution, and we're adding more every day. We are looking for leaders to come in and help us make these changes. So if that's you, let us know at the end of the call. And then today we've got Robert Patyk, who is our WealthTribe leader. So you can read all of this. He's got an impressive resume. You heard at the beginning of the call. He started doing this when he was 10 as a hobby. He won first place in the world in global trading competition at 21 years old. He's traded stocks and options and commodities and future options and foreign exchange and crypto. Well, you haven't traded crypto since the age of 10, right? So
no, that's the only one that was 5 years. 5 years. Yeah.
Right. And he speaks all over the place because he wants to share his knowledge. And like he was saying at the beginning of the call, it is unusual for somebody who trades at the level that he does to be willing to share his secrets. So we're really, really privileged today to be able to learn from him and all the different things that he does. And he is accessible through Thriveolution, that you can make an appointment with him. You can come tomorrow onto our wealth call, and he'll be talking one of the top 7 strategies tomorrow. So today we're talking this top 7 strategies to get you through the chaos that we are now seeing the beginning of in the world. And Robert, I don't know if you have tonight's topic, the top 7 ways to thrive during a weak economy, or just even a chaotic economy, right? It's all over the board right now. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, about why we're seeing what we're seeing and what it is exactly that we're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's true that before we get going, I do want to make a quick disclaimer. We're not licensed financial advisors. So anything I do say or anyone on the call says today is not making themselves out to be financial advisors. Just have to get it out of the way. We're making no guarantees. But at the end of the day, why are we here? Because I have, been known for predicting the recession back in 2006 and 7, a year before it happened, the Great Recession, as well as in 2018, I was warning people about the coming crash. So, the people that have attended my presentations over the decades are terrified of the fact that I've come out of my bat cave and I'm saying stuff again, right? They've done very well. Now, here's the thing. I could be wrong, right? Maybe, nothing's going to happen. Maybe the thing is, if I'm wrong, and if you, ignore it, or if you take action, it doesn't really matter, because the stuff that I show people how to do is to be protected just in case. So you're always going to be able to, for example, if you acquire sound money, for example, you can always get rid of sound money for something else of value. You don't have a loss necessarily. However, if I am right, and my track record is pretty bang on when I look at the economy as a whole, as a hobby since I was 10 years old, I have quite a good understanding of what's really going on behind the curtain, so to speak. If I am right, I can actually position people to be winning and not just surviving, but thriving during any market situation, including especially when everyone else is losing their shirts, because money is not lost during a depression. It is merely transferred to a handful of individuals, and anyone can basically copy those moves, shuffling themselves around to be positioned to prosper, not just protect themselves. But if I'm correct.
I just want to throw in here, you said yesterday that as people are losing their shirts, you get to put on their shirts. So pretty much today you're telling us how to have a new wardrobe?
Well, the key here is us. I would rather help the change makers, the people that want to do good on the planet, to be receiving those shirts, let alone not losing theirs, right? So, we're trying to put power back in control in those people that want to make a nicer planet for our future generations. And absolutely, when things are moving both up and down, those are opportunities to profit in both directions. And we're about to see the largest transfer of wealth in human history, literally. And this is the biggest opportunity, literally, which I've personally been practically waiting for 27 years for this year. So I'm like, you know what? When Jody asked me to come on, I'm like, absolutely, because I may not have a polished presentation or anything like that for you today, but I need to get some information started to get out the door, because time is of the essence right now, indeed, in the economy.
All right, well then carry on and show us. So number 7. So are we going from most important to least important?
Least. We're going to start off with the least important, but at the same time, you could argue that, the best thing you could do is surround yourself with those that have experience, that have been there, and have gotten the results that you seek, right? Because at the end of the day, they know the shortcuts. I have the battle wounds in the trenches, and I can basically help avoid them. And that's why I'm passionate about helping people, because I don't want people to have to go through that
You don't want
unnecessary.
people to lose $42,000 at the end of high school?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was just not knowing what a stop loss is. And that's something that, you can learn in your first day of, working with someone like myself that is traded for a long time. They'll say, make sure you always use a stop loss, right? So indeed, they're very powerful. So basically, there's a lot of things to learn that schools forgot to teach, like Money 101. But most importantly, I would just say compounding interest, right? The eighth wonder of the world. Right? Wow, we got a lot of people coming on. So basically, the eighth wonder of the world by Einstein was compound interest. It can literally set you free, learning how to make money in your sleep, and also understanding what's going on in the world, is such as printing of money. Right. So if you understand that and the principles of money, we don't have time to get into financial literacy stuff here today, but that's going to be in future episodes. We do in Thriveolution have WealthTribe calls every Wednesday at 10 a.m. where we'll be going through those financial literacy things that schools should have taught and actually go deeper into them. But for now,
let me clarify for the people listening in 10 a.m. Pacific time, because you're out there on the West Coast.
Correct.
And looking at all of these things, can you just pick one of them to kind of highlight around? Well, actually, let me ask the question differently. When you're getting educated, yes, come to our wealth calls, learn from you, learn from today. Give me 3 other resources that people can use to start educating themselves now.
Well, here's the thing, right? With markets can be tricky, and there's no guarantees. Actually 95% of people lose money in the markets, and so because schools forgot to teach it on purpose, they're creating workers, not investors. What happens is you're then reliant on going to listen to the TV, where they're paid what to say by banks. Let's say they're not going to say go sell the bank stock, right? So then you're resorting to go to the bank and say, can you give me financial advice, right? So we do have to give a disclaimer: go seek the services of a certified professional before making decisions. At the same time, if you look up the average age of a financial advisor, it's 57 years old. They're technically still working a job, and they can only sell you products from that bank typically. So right now we're just saying, adapt and change with the times, and if not, you will be left behind. Picture walking through a forest, and if you see a big giant grizzly bear in the middle of your pathway, are you going to keep walking straight into the bear? It could literally be life or death if you don't learn how to adapt to new technologies. You could literally be a billionaire today and realize tomorrow your $1 billion are worthless. It's just a billion pieces of toilet paper. So a lot of the older traders and investors, they're upset about the revolutionary industries like technology, like crypto and blockchain, because it's disrupting their normal way of doing things. But that's how fast things are changing.
Let's let people know that Thursday's Thriveolution has a crypto call where even beginners like me who feel completely intimidated by crypto get to come and learn, and that's for free. And those are with experts who are running our Shillet app. And so let's make sure people know through Thriveolution, we are giving you those resources. Is there one book, one website, one?
Yeah, so YouTube, you got to be careful, because on YouTube, you do have so many, again, 95% of them don't know what they're talking about, but it is a full-time job sifting between them. But yes, there are definitely some good things out there. I've seen Mark Moss has a really good channel. He speaks a lot of good understanding of the economy. And there's also The Hidden Secrets of Money, which is a great visual videos of exactly how does cash work. And, one thing I would say to look up specifically is realize that you can make money when things go down. Banks will typically say, just put your money in, hold it for the long term, let it keep going up forever until it doesn't, because markets do move in cycles. And eventually there will be ups and downs. You want to be positioning yourself in and out. And just because something has gone up for 10 years doesn't mean that it can't drop in 1 year the same distance. So you can technically make 10 years of income in a single year if you learn how to profit on the way down rather than just buying the dip, so to speak, or trying to catch a falling knife.
And that's why right now at this time of history where we know things are about to change drastically is such a key time to be educated. Yes?
Yes, and having a mentor can definitely fast track that, and getting the right education, getting the right mentor is very important. And so that's something that I would emphasize, is to just start practicing, and because like things are getting a lot more expensive these days. And the one thing that's driven behind that is inflation. So you want to learn about fractional reserve banking is a good thing to look up and see how the money is being printed on a daily basis. If you do want to learn, like you're saying, then you just have to start. I was 10. If a 10-year-old can do it, you can do it. Okay. Just have to, it's not nothing special. I just spent a lot of time picking up nuggets of information here and there that allowed me to acquire the knowledge how to make the 20% per year, another piece of information how to make 30% a year, to the point where I was eventually doubling consistently. And then just practice in a demo account if you're trading, or you can go straight into doing deals in real estate, for example, if you have a mentor that you're going in with that's already done it.
That's amazing. Okay, so mentors other than yourself, which we've already talked about, people have access to you through Thrivolution. How are you finding a mentor?
Well,
how can people find one?
People will need to come back to these Thrivolution meetings, because in all sectors and tribes, we're going to be doing panels, and we're going to be attracting those people onto our show. And you're going to be able to have Q&A with them and specifically see what resources they all have. And we're going to be vetting a lot of them and bringing them onto the show, best of the best. And that's a one-stop place that people can definitely plug into a lot of the top resources. It's just plugging into our community, which we also do have our hub, which we'll talk about too.
It was already put in the chat if somebody wants to throw that up again, and we'll keep throwing that up throughout the chat so you can watch that. That's our social media application that we own, so it's not censored.
But you're absolutely right. Learning is the first step, and that's the best step. It's because the best investment you can make is in yourself and your own personal education. It'll yield the best returns out of any investment. I can tell you, I've seen tens of thousands of investments, and the knowledge you can spend, not necessarily even sometimes reading a book, you may end up having 20 times more question after you read the book and not know who to ask. So plug into communities. You can definitely find them online, and there's a lot of groups popping up everywhere. But yes, we're here for you too on Thrivolution to teach you those things.
So for the people who are here on the call, who are new to Thrivolution or new to the call, go to the person who invited you to the call to make sure that you're plugged in as this goes forward, and they'll be able to make sure you've got all the information. All right, let's keep going, because you've got so much to tell us.
Yeah. So number 6.
A little bit.
So number 6 here is prepping, and this is something, Jody, you can also talk to, because I am now. What do I mean by prepping?
Being ready for whatever happens next.
It basically means having a plan, and if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and that's meaning that again, maybe I'm wrong, maybe nothing will happen, but does it hurt to have a little bit of extra water production abilities, maybe some little extra food stored? In Thrivolution, we're planning to create entire communities and farmlands and sanctuaries where people can go to live and work and play, and also be around like-minded individuals that are, in the barter system. Everyone is producing, everyone is helping each other, and everyone is helping each other thrive. So definitely, in case, there's no food in the grocery stores, you're not caught off guard. And if the banks lock their front door and you can't go in, or you check the ATM machine that says out of business, because we've actually already started seeing that happen, and so it's now why I'm doing this presentation. Even before I finish pictures and adding crazy animations, the information is, be careful now with, just relying on the existing supply chains that we took for granted, because now, what would you do if those things happen? So do you have a water creation system, some seeds to grow food, a way to produce energy, heat, and fire to be able to cook and stay warm, as well as a method to protect your property? I always say either have silver or silver bullets, or both. But then the ability, so the ability to live off the grid is something that, this day and age, it used to be like, what kind of fancy cars do you drive and clothes do you wear? These days, it's more like attracting a significant other is, can you live in the middle of the mountains these days?
So
And
I want to mention here, as we're talking about this, as we move forward with these community calls and our podcasts on these Tuesday mornings, we are going to be talking more about this information and going deeper into so many of these topics. So I just wanted to add that we're not going to just throw this at you and leave you there. We are going to continue to bring resources. All right, carry on.
That's the thing about Thrivolution. They're not just identifying challenges in the world, but also solutions. And we're taking, radical action to solve those problems. So we're looking for people that want to solve those problems and attracting them together to put, implement plans into actionable steps that people can take immediately. And we are creating basically a parallel world where people can live and, get things done. So number 5, because we see that we ended off with have a means of exchange, also of value. And one of those is actually to have, maybe you can't carry around a chicken and a goat and a cow in your pocket everywhere you go, but there are things that have represented value for thousands of years that have built up trust as a means of exchange. So this is now talking about how to have a currency in your hand. But I have a question for you guys. Drop in the comments, what do you think is the difference between money and currency?
Interesting. That's a fascinating. I've never thought of it
because
that
a
way.
lot of people think of it as the same and one and the same, but it's absolutely not. And the hint is what happened in 1971.
I know,
right?
I know. Put it in the chat, people, if you know what happened in 1971.
There you go. Yeah, Christina's on the ball because she's part of attending Thrivolution. But basically, yes, 1971, Nixon got us off the gold standard in the United States. Since then, our so-called piece of paper, toilet paper, fiat money is no longer backed by anything other than empty promises. And who knows how much gold is actually in Fort Knox when no one is allowed to even go in there to audit it, let alone presidents are not even allowed to go in to see the gold. So money is what can be trustworthy that, hey, Jody, I just met you. I need you to do some work for me and I'm going to pay you this. And you can go and spend that somewhere else because people have faith in it. So we will do presentations in the future, such as the evolution of money, talking about how we had a barter system. Then we went to coin. We actually had sticks and stones representing value and shells, but they're plentiful. So then we went to rare commodities like gold and silver. And they were a little bit heavy to carry around every day for the average person. So they started to make pieces of paper that represent that gold and silver. Now what happens, they started printing more paper than there was gold, and it started to become, not as trustworthy. So, these days, we have to understand that, there's digital money coming in. There's all this new talk of a cashless society. So we need to understand all that. I do have here with me a sheet of paper that is actually a roll that I've actually had for basically 25 years. I've been using this to show people, right? So you can actually see here, or I have to do like this. You can see it though, right? So
You can see it. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, so this roll of paper, this is a sheet of 32.
Gotta love
right?
a green screen.
Right? And basically this is a printing press going constantly, non-stop, day and night, day and night, day and night. Since I bought this 25 years old, these are real dollars. I could cut them up and shop in the store with these legally, right? However, if I go to print these in my garage, I'm probably going to end up in jail. But the government, they print them constantly and to the tune of billions of dollars. Here's a question for you, Jody. What % of all US dollars do you think are actually printed like this into physical form that you can touch in your hand?
I had never thought about it.
It's about 5%, or at least it was. It was 5%. Maybe now it's down to 1%, or actually physically printed in your hand. So believe it or not, they are somewhat good value to have printed in your hand, as opposed to the ones that are crunched into the computer and just typed up and into existence. But definitely, you need to understand that we have lots and lots of different currencies around the world. And while we're at it, I might as well just show you one more, which is this one here. And this is a Zimbabwe note here. And you can see here, it says $100 trillion. That's a lot of zeros. right? So you can see here, this Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. This, would you rather have that, where you needed a whole shopping bag full of that cash just to fill up your car tank of gas? And then the very next day, you needed 2 shopping bags of those notes. Or would you rather have one of these that is in my hand? By the way, I don't store it in the bank because, you know, they can confiscate it, or what if they lock the front door to the bank and then you're out of luck? So if it's not in your hand, it's not yours. Just like in crypto, if it's not your keys, it's not yours. So definitely there's things that people can do when it comes to an economy that is iffy. In uncertain times, in times of hyperinflation or even stagflation, which is something you can look up, we might have, which is a bad recipe for the economy, where basically there's no jobs, there's rising inflation, and basically the Federal Reserve, they can't do anything to stop it. They either have to ruin the currency or ruin the stock market, and they're between a rock and a hard place. So definitely there's things that you can do to protect yourself, because always this will come out on top. It's only a matter of time. This has been money for 5,000 years. And this is why I like it as a balance, because I'm also an avid enthusiast in crypto. So it's a nice balance of, just in case there's a power outage, just in case, you know, there's the internet outage, we are okay. If everyone runs to the bank tomorrow to try to pull all their cash out, which is happening, and this is why we're doing this presentation.
After the truckers in Canada.
Yeah, so in the truckers in Canada, they actually had a 5-hour power outage for all of the 5 big banks without any warning. So it wasn't like a scheduled maintenance where they warned customers we're going to have a power outage, it just went out. You couldn't e-transfer, you couldn't wire money, you couldn't go into the bank for 5 hours, all the 5 major banks, I believe, in one day. And so they're also now going back and saying, hey, if you attended this, what was a legal protest, or you did a legal GoFundMe, they're backtracking now and saying, oh, we're going to add some criminal charges to you and freeze your money. And it's already happening. So guys,
and they
like,
shut down GoFundMe as well for people raising money for them. So it just shows you how tentative using these government institutions and these banks and things like that really is for us, and how easy it is to be taken.
Yeah, and so definitely you have to be aware that things can change on you, and so don't wait till it's too late. Because, for example, in the future, I'll be talking about Deutsche Bank. I can actually pull up a picture that shows how they have operations in 58 countries. Guess how much money exposure, derivatives exposure, Deutsche Bank has in the markets right now? Guess how many trillions? Type in the chat if you know how many. For those that don't know me. How many trillions of dollars of exposure do you think one company, one financial institution has in the markets right now? How many trillions? Because it's
why are you highlighting Deutsche Bank?
Because I could highlight literally any bank. Even in Canada, the top 5 banks own shares of all other 5 banks. So they don't care how they, send the money. For example, if I walk into the bank and I deposit $10,000, right? So guess what happens? This is why they say, invest in the long term, just park your cash here in the bank and do that. Why? Because now they're legally allowed to lend out, let's just say 10 times more than what you deposited. So they're lending out 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. Guess what they're going to do now? Those are in the form of loans. So let's say we've got Peter or Sally, she comes along and she goes and she borrows $10,000. What does she have to do at the end of the year after she borrowed $10,000? She's going to have to repay it, but she's going to have to repay 11,000, maybe 12, because they charge credit card fees, right? So they're making $1,000 off of her and every other one of the individuals. Right now, if you look up fractional reserve banking and reserve requirements in the United States of America, guess how much the reserve ratio is right now in the US? It's literally 0, which means they can print as much as they want just electronically. They don't even have to waste their time with the printing presses anymore, which makes me wonder why they even bother with taxes. Is it just a control mechanism? So,
or transfer of wealth.
Well, speaking of transfers, so let's say this Sally, she wants to go buy a nice car, right? And she goes and she purchases a vehicle and she's going to buy it from this car dealer. So she's going to hand him $10,000. She gets the car. What do you think that car dealer is going to do with his 10,000? He's going to go deposit it in his bank. So they don't really care which one you deposit it into. They're all getting, the process repeats indefinitely, and they're just printing crazy amounts of money. And that's how the cycle goes. So with Deutsche Bank in particular, I brought it up because for those that guessed it, it's $70 trillion of market exposure they have. To give you perspective, the GDP of Germany every year is less than 5 trillion. So why I say Germany is because it's a German bank, Deutsche Bank. Do you think the country of Germany can bail out Deutsche Bank that has exposure to $70 trillion of market? That's a question you need to ask yourself. If right, so definitely you can see we used to have bailouts in 2008. I'm basically warning people now we're about to have bail-ins. What does that mean? Let's say you have $100,000 in your bank, and all of a sudden the bank says, "Oh, sorry, Jody, we just have to make up some excuse here, and you all of a sudden have 90,000 in your bank. We're just going to have to confiscate 10,000. Thank you very much for helping us keep our bank afloat and not go bankrupt."
So they'll do that through fees and those types of things. Yes.
So the number 5 here is unbank yourself and detach yourself from the ability from someone to basically seize your cash. And I get asked all the time, Robert, how can I position my cash in the bank to not get wiped out? Well, then number 1, don't have cash, have sound money, not fiat toilet paper. And number 2, don't keep it in the bank. We're brought up from a young age, always listen to the doctor, always listen to the figure of authority, go to the bank because they have a nice marble lobby. So I guess I can trust them because there's a sticker in the window that says they're insured. But yet you only have up to a certain amount that is insured. But if everyone believes the sticker and they don't all rush to the bank at the same time, then technically the sticker works. The problem these days is banks can literally have more liabilities than assets. And if they get wiped out, the insurance companies can get wiped out too. And even governments, they can go bankrupt these days faster than corporations. And in fact, they are corporations. So definitely be cautious of bank runs, because the smart guys, the people that I can imagine coming to the same conclusions as myself, they're not waiting for it to be on television. By then it's too late to exchange your fiat US dollars or Zimbabwe currency. It's going to be the same, one and the same. If you don't believe me, just look up what happened on Venezuela's currency just the other year. So, definitely be aware that Deutsche Bank, they have operations themselves in 58 countries, and they also have links directly and indirectly with all other banks around the world. So it just takes one to go under to lose faith and trust with all the others, and business can grind to a halt if transactions don't keep occurring. Because let's say,
do you think that's where we're headed? I mean, you've been
absolutely, it's guaranteed to happen, because what happens is, Jody, what happens if one bank goes bankrupt? You're going to be scared as a financial institution to lend money to another bank because you don't know if they'll pay you back in a week, if they'll still exist. So people start hoarding. And that's not going to help the economy, for people to take out loans to build stuff. And there's another thing. Even if you do make money available left, right, and center, you need people that want to borrow.
Correct.
So it only works to a certain extent. And if people aren't actually believing that people are going to go out and shop, consumer confidence goes down. It's a vicious, nasty cycle where basically, I'll give you an example. If Deutsche Bank starts going down, because look at the share price already, ratings agencies will be left no choice but to downgrade that stock. So now if you're Deutsche Bank, you have to borrow money on a daily basis to keep operating. They're going to have to borrow at a higher interest rate. Instead of 10% a year, let's pretend, they're going to get charged 12% per year. So their profits will be the same, but their expenses just went up. When their earnings come out next quarter, guess what's going to happen? Their profitability will go down. You'll see them laying off 20,000 more workers just to try to make ends meet. But by the way, there's 20,000 less people that are going to be shopping, and other stocks will get impacted. So it's a vicious, nasty cycle that leads to lower stock prices, stock downgrades, more people fired, and then less trust in the stock market overall. And then it just keeps repeating. So it's definitely on the horizon. And, this could have happened in in 2008, for example. We'll do a whole separate presentation on.
Yeah, I should probably push you because you gave me permission. So everybody who
Yeah.
came late, he gave me permission to push him because there's so much information. Should we be moving to number 4?
Yes, we're going to go to number 4 because I do want to just stress we will have more presentations that will identify all of the flags I saw in 2007 and also what are the similar ones now in 2022. And we can definitely see them repeating. Yeah, so there's definitely good stuff to know that, basically having cash in the bank is not the safest. We're basically today giving you straight up meat on the bones. We're giving you straight solutions without even knowing fully the problem. But because that's how serious it is, guys like me are figuring this out. They're already doing their own mini bank run and silver squeeze. There's mints already canceling entire collections for 2022 because they run out of silver.
Well, and nickel is under fire now too, because is it Russia or Ukraine where all the nickel is coming from?
Yeah, it had a spike up to $100,000. So, look up the usdebtclock.org, usdebtclock.org. You'll see that we've already hit the $30 trillion level. This is what I've been saying for 10 years. Once it hits 30 trillion, it's game over. We're already above that. So all the other guys that are thinking along the lines of what I've just said, they're already panicking. They're already dumping, and it's a race to the bottom for the dollar. It will no longer be the world reserve currency. We already have Saudi Arabia and China and Russia and India saying they're going to transact in their own currencies, which is the last little hope of glimmer that the US dollar kept its world reserve status as the petrodollar. Now it's not even used to transact for petrol or oil. So basically, don't wait for the television to tell you, because by then no one will want your US dollars. Now is the time to start diversifying into sound money. If you buy a house, for example, right now, or you sell your house, you put it all into, again, not financial advice, you put it all into silver, you can end up possibly having 10,000 more pieces of paper than now, chasing the same amount of silver. So you can have a 10 times bigger house or 10 houses. Just converting from cash to silver, silver to cash.
And should we mention now that tomorrow on the wealth call, we are going to talk more in depth about how to get that silver, so that we are going to take you through it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be, yes, I am saying knock yourself out and go get some physical silver, because, you can always exchange it back into whatever sheep, cows, or fiat you can go back into. But at the end of the day, there's also the possibility you'll get twice as much or 3 times as much back, because this has been, again, for 5,000 years, a proven store of value. Just saying. So, also crypto is good, but it's younger. It's only been since 2008. So I like to have a mix of both in case there's a power outage and stuff like that. So look up fractional reserve banking too. And this is something that some of my billionaire buddies actually taught me. They say there's 3 rules of money, Robert. That's all you need to know. You don't have to teach everything else. They said, number 1, you need to make it. Number 2, you need to maintain it. And number 3, you need to multiply it. So guess which one we're talking about when it comes to, for example, precious metals and bullion, right? You might think maintaining it because it's a store of wealth for 5,000 years. And typically, people will look at, look at the past history of the last 10 years. It hasn't performed very well. That's because there's a lot of pieces of paper representing themselves as silver, but it's not real. The ETFs, for example, say that they will not deliver any gold, but they call it a gold ETF, silver ETF. If they got rid of all those derivatives.
What does ETF stand for?
Exchange traded funds, which is basically just a promise on a piece of paper that I'll give you some silver later on, I'll deliver it to your house. But if you actually read the terms and conditions, it used to say we don't guarantee we'll deliver any. And last year, they changed it. It now says we will not deliver any. So if they got rid of all those pieces of paper, and when you hear banks and financial institutions saying that that's silver, it's not. This is silver because it's in Robert's palm. You got to rip it out of his fist. That's the only real silver. If you get rid of all those pieces of paper, all of a sudden you're going to have an influx 10 times bigger of paper trying to get into the physical, which there's already shortages. I actually have pictures I'll be sharing tomorrow of that. So definitely realize that it's not been a good, results over the last 10 years because the fiat paper version of gold and silver has been the most artificially suppressed asset in human history I've ever seen, which now Robert Kiyosaki is echoing, saying he's never seen such manipulated assets to go. You saw prices of food going up, oil going up, everything going up in the stocks, everything going up in the real estate, but not gold and silver. Isn't that interesting that the stock market or commodities market is artificially suppressing the price with short contracts? Why? Because central banks are buying this by the tons. Literally, you can even see Russia now, where the whole world has ganged up on them practically, and they're still functioning because they've been acquiring this for a very long time, which gives them the ability to keep operating. So,
and then they just said that they're going to now back the ruble with gold.
Yes, they've announced that officially. So, back when Libya said we're going to back the currency of Africa by gold, they had to make sure that he didn't, right? So now, it's coming to us at a corner near you. You're going to see your fiat turn into physical or crypto. And digital banks, Bank of International Settlements is already making announcements too for theirs. So moving on to number 4, good debt versus bad debt. What does this mean? All right. I was on Robert Kiyosaki's discussion forums back in, I think even before he wrote the book, where he mentioned good debt and bad debt in it. But basically, it's when you borrow money, what do you do with it? Do you spend it on Starbucks coffees? Do you go spend it on cigarettes, going out and partying? Or do you spend the money on investments that make you money? So that's where it's important to understand the difference between asset and liability. But this is what to do prior to a collapse of fiat currencies. So this is actually one of my secret and probably cheekiest solution of the bunch. If you're going to hypothetically, let's assume for a second here that the banks do have some struggles. Back in 2008, there were hundreds of banks in the States that went under. They got completely bankrupted. There was thousands of banks, hundreds got wiped out. Imagine you take out a loan from a bank and that bank goes bankrupt. Sometimes the creditors can come after you and say, well, all of it's due right now, so to speak. But the point here is, if I'm going to take out a loan, let's say in US dollars, let's say I borrow $1 million US dollars, if I have the means to. And what happens? It devalues within 2 years. By the way, drop a comment in the chat. I'm going to give out some free silver right now, or crypto. Whoever can type this first in the chat, what percentage of US dollars, all US dollars in history, can you tell me was printed in the last 2 years? I'm talking about all of history, going back as far as forever. All US dollars in history, what percentage was printed in the last 24 months of all US dollars ever in history? Okay, I'm going to go back to the chat and see who got the answer right first. Okay, and actually, I'm going to keep the numbers coming just in case they haven't landed on it yet.
That's awesome. Of course,
right?
I being the host, I don't get to participate. How is that fair, Robert?
Yeah. So, Alessio actually got it. It's between Alessio and Kevin. 88 or 98 to 99%, because they said actually it was at one point 50%, then 80%, and I have to go double check now. It's closer to 98% of all US dollars ever printed in history, just in the last 2 years. So let me ask you a question. If your wages, have they grown that much in your job? Absolutely not. So prices of everything should technically be now doubling left, right, and center everywhere, but somehow silver prices haven't. It's only a matter of time that all those dollars will start chasing sound money and sound assets and real estate and tangible things that we're doing here in the Thrivolution and building communities. So empires do collapse. I actually do have charts that show that.
And they all collapse in a certain time period, and the US right now is right in that time period. If you go back and look through history, we're right back.
I do have a chart of that, and it basically shows the UK, the Netherlands, and US is just starting to do that, right? So I do have, remind me to pull that up. So banks do collapse, right? And so this is something that you can position yourself is, okay, borrow. Because number one, the bank may not ask for it back if they stop existing. Number two, the dollar that you borrowed, maybe you borrow 1 million today, and in 2 years you have to pay 1 million worthless pieces of toilet paper, which is easier to do. So this is actually a hack for, you know what, they want to print like crazy, go right ahead. I'll borrow them today, and then I'll pay you back when you're laughing at them the same way you're laughing at the Zimbabwe $100 trillion Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe note. This one actually, believe it or not, has gone up in value because when I bought it, it was like $10. Now it's $250 because it's an antique. Someone actually risked their life escaping the country with this.
Wow.
Because they wanted to keep it. Look up the inflation of Zimbabwe if you don't believe me what's going to happen to the US dollar. So yeah, systemic failure. Here's the trick the banks do, right? They can manipulate the goalposts. So they can say, for example, today in the commodity futures market of gold, you need $5,000 to buy one contract of gold, which represents 100 ounces. They can say, oh, well, you know what? Tomorrow, you need twice as much. You need 10,000. We don't like the fact that things are moving too much. If they keep moving the goalposts, they can easily manipulate the price of gold down. If they require you, Jody, now tomorrow to have $20,000 to buy one contract of gold, you can only buy less contracts. That lowers the demand artificially. So they do play these games. I do have a picture of someone that just posted a bank letter right now saying they're closing their account for no reason. They said that they've been paying on time, everything, early even. They never were late. And they got a letter from, it was Scotiabank. It was actually saying that they're closing their account. And they don't even know why. And so
they weren't on the truckers convoy?
I don't know, maybe. But you know what? The fact that you can attend a legal protest and later have your accounts completely frozen and seized, like this couldn't make it any more easier for me to come in here and say, trust me, guys, this is going to happen. I'm telling you, it's already happened. So you're getting this kind of late, actually, which is why I'm going to polish this up with nice pictures and graphics for you guys to understand. But you guys should be thankful. It's been a long time since I've come out of the woodwork to come out and start saying these things, because now is the time to start positioning yourself at least a little bit. You know, I would say even put 10, 20, 30% of your assets into physical, tangible stuff, and then look at cryptocurrency also. But back in the 80s, Jody, you know, you walked into a financial advisor, guess what they said? 10% of your money goes directly into physical silver and gold. We don't even know you yet. Now let's discuss your personal situation. Guess what percent of people right now, and anyone can guess in the chat, what do you think is the percentage of people that have, what percent of people's assets are in gold or silver physically in their hand? What would you say? What percent of their net worth do they have in physical bullion in this year, 2022, right? It's much closer down to 2 or 3%. Okay, globally, 1 or 2% is a good guess too, because you know there's definitely, if you just get one, let's say a billion people in China all go out tomorrow to buy 1 ounce of silver, and they do that every day, you're going to not be able to keep buying it. There will be a silver shortage, and the Hunt brothers tried to do that on purpose at one point. Look up Hunt brothers. So anyway, this is something.
We're down to 10 minutes left in the hour, and I'm sure
perfect.
People are interested in, and yes, we will open it up for question and answer after. So I know
we did say borrow like there's no tomorrow.
Well, you told me that some people, instead of having your money sit in your house, take out some of that equity, invest it, and then pay it back, because the rates are still low enough right now that you can make more on the money than you can, you know, than it's doing you good sitting there. So
Jody, you asked this question on a post on Facebook, and I didn't answer on purpose because I wanted to always make sure there's a proper disclaimer. And at the same time, it matters what are you going to do with the funds once you get them. If you're going to go spend it on Starbucks and going out and partying, then you're almost better off keeping the house, right? But, you know, if you have, say, exposure to multiple houses, or let's say if you have, you know, back in 2008, we had 6 years of downside in the real estate market before they recovered. So the houses that were hit hardest were the higher end houses. And so definitely this is one of the most powerful things that I can see that people globally, especially North America rather, can do right now to unlock the most untapped potential in the shortest amount of time. This is literally probably going to be the one that blows the most minds right now because it's not taught in schools or banks. And you ever hear about, hey, what do they say? Go to school, get good grades, to get a good piece of paper, to get a good job, to get a good salary, to pay off your student loan debt, and then buy a house and get a mortgage. And then what do you do with the mortgage? Pay it off. That's not correct. This is none of them are actually.
And I can tell you, he told me this when I was just asking him the other day, like, what do I do about, don't pay the mortgage off?
Here's why, okay? If you have been, you don't have to be since the age of 10, but you just start tomorrow learning about different opportunities. I say luck is when opportunity crosses path with preparation. Preparation could be in the form of having liquid capital to deploy as ammunition into investments that yield a higher rate of return. Let's say that you're borrowing money and you use it to grow this much, but and that's the interest rate of return you're earning, but this is the interest you're paying. So you could easily be coming out on top if your money is growing faster than the cost of it to use it temporarily. You should be borrowing as much as you can get your hands on. This goes back to borrow. I put them in a specific order. So go out and borrow $1 billion, pay, to even 10. If you borrow $1 billion, you can even pay $100 million of interest in 1 year. Why? Because if you make $120 million using that billion within a year, you pay off the loan, you're actually gonna end up ahead, maybe 10, maybe $20 million. Okay, so the point is that real estate is one of the assets where people are house rich but cash poor, and they could have used that money instead. Jody, what is an example of some numbers you've seen where people can actually have a house value, how much it rents for, and how much the expenses are?
Oh man, it depends on where you are, and how much you put down, right? But we were talking the other day about if you're monthly making, let's just say $500 from a rental property, you're making monthly $500 over what you're paying in the mortgage, right? So take that number and go.
I'm basically showing people what they are typically taught to do in decades. I can do in months or weeks, sometimes even days. So, when there's inflation, now this is the good side of real estate. It is tangible. So we are getting absolutely some. Okay. I've done 10 different ways of real estate investing, which I'll get to on the next slide. The point is that, trying to pinpoint the top can be very dangerous if it can still go up a little bit higher, but it can go down a lot more. So we are buying farmland. We are building communities. I'm still creating a real estate club, just so you guys know. All right. We're going to be launching that in Thriveolution. And so it's going to be anyone and everyone to do with anything with real estate needs to be there because this is going to be game changing. I've gotten quite a history with real estate. I did 100 units in a single year, and that was with zero cash, zero credit, not even walking into the bank. And, this is something we can teach people how to do. Basically step by step, going from 15,000 to 15 million within 30 years instead of 90 years. So, but most people, if you buy the wrong type of property, a house that is, there are some tax advantages, but the point is still there are more liabilities than assets. It's basically costing them more money than it's making them, unless there's constant appreciation. The problem is markets go up and down. There are cycles. So the three main choices are you either keep the property, pull the equity out, and this is in ascending order from worst to best. The final best one is to just sell it, put it on the market, ask for too much. If someone comes along and gives it to you, take it and buy across the street cheaper, 50,000, and pocket the difference. But At the same time, if you know how to invest because you've been, getting a mentor, you've been studying, remember number 1 or number 7, it was education. Depending how well you've done on number 7, you already will say, wait a minute, I already know how to make 50% per year, perhaps. So why wouldn't I pull my house, sell my house where it was making me $500 per month? Now I can make $500 per day using that same, maybe $500,000. That's way faster. That's 30 times faster, literally. So if you are aware of how to make the money grow, you're going to be more likely to want to pull it out or pull it to, so you don't have to sell if you don't really want to. You can do the next best thing, which is borrow against it. Again, your loan may charge you 3%, 7% home equity line of credit. You deploy those funds, even though it's a portion of the value of the house. And now you're using that. Let's say you have a $500,000 house and I only pull out $70,000 of equity in the form of a second mortgage. Even if they charge me 10, 12% interest, if I know how to make 13%, let alone 30% per year, growing that 70 grand, after 1 year, I can go back and pay off that 70,000 plus the little interest they charge me, and I have profit left over. So definitely we can see that the other thing here is security of if they go to confiscate people's houses, because laws are changing, you never know. Then would you rather have a $500,000 building paid off completely that they're going to confiscate, or a $500,000 building that you've pulled out $400,000 already in your pocket? And if they go take your house, go ahead and take it. You've already got 400,000 in your pocket in the form of gold bars and coins and jewelry and crypto. And if they try to take it, well, it's on the blockchain, or, well, I just happened to drop my silver off a boat in the middle of the ocean and it's somewhere at the bottom of the sea.
Okay, so here's a question too, because just yesterday, a group of us were talking about this. They're tokenizing real estate. That's going to be the next step. So I'm an
avid believer in tokenization of real estate. I love crowdfunding and ownership of fractional ownership of real estate, but it has to be done properly. It has to be registered currently through the existing channels. We are in Thrivolution, revolutionizing the way people do things. But at the same time, we are meeting the world where it's at to try to go as, below the radar as possible, so that we are playing within the existing structures as much as possible while shifting into the new. So we can actually not have a target on our back, register the security first, and then raise money properly, so that we are not shut down as easily. And so this is why definitely I love the tokenization. We are planning some multitude of projects for tokenization, and that is even with the crossover with NFTs coming soon. So this is something you guys need to stay tuned for.
Aren't we giving one of those away?
Actually, today we are. Yes, we're going to be doing a raffle. So
I know we're at the top of the hour, but if you can just give us a little more time, there is a raffle coming.
Yeah, I'm gonna speed through number 2 and number 1. Yeah. While I speed through number 2 and number 1, maybe we can get someone to pull up wheelofnames.com and start entering the attendees into there, so we can just spin the wheel once we're done. Wheelofnames.com. So moving on, just reshuffle your assets. Sometimes will surprise you. And this is, I can tell you, because of lack of education in the school about this, financial literacy, people just think pay off my house, but that doesn't make it immune to being confiscated. So just shuffling around your money may unlock a lot of untapped potential ammunition to deploy. Now you just need the confidence to know that, okay, I know where I'm going to deploy it, where it'll earn more interest than the interest I paid to borrow. And believe me, if you hang around the right crowd long enough, or even me or Thrivolution, you're going to definitely have too many choices to pick from to outperform the interest that you're charged on those loans. So moving on to number 2. So with real estate, there's so many strategies, and I'm an avid believer that in any market you can make money, because I've done 10 different ways of making money with properties, from owning them from 0 seconds all the way to long-term, and 10 years, I mean by long-term, because I bought in the city that was the #1 performing city in North America over the last 10 years. Even the last year, it's gone up 44% in price, just from doing research of the numbers. So there are ways. We're definitely going to be creating, at least I am talking with the core team here with our Thriveolution. We're going to be doing some stuff with tokenization. We can't really talk about it yet, but we will. So definitely stay tuned for that, because it's incorporating with the blockchain. And this is definitely something that is going to be taking the world by storm. And so you won't want to miss out for that. So, but moving to number 2, and it's kind of interesting to mention this right after real estate. Okay. Jody, or everyone in the chat, type what is your definition of freedom? What is freedom to you? How would you summarize it in one sentence? If you're talking about freedom, you know, is it time to spend with family, friends, loved ones, doing whatever you like without having to be stuck in a cubicle 8 hours a day? Or is it also, speaking of cubicles, the ability to travel and move around? A lot of people associate with taking vacations, moving, not being trapped in your country. Hint, hint, some guy that rhymes with, well, we had Kyle Kemper on the show of Thriveolution last week as a half brother of Justin Trudeau. And so freedom is often associated with the ability to move around freely, and it gives yourself the flexibility to uproot quickly and easily. Can you just grab a backpack and go? Some people have kids, they have families, they have their, you know, soccer lessons and stuff like that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if laws were really, say that they're going to say that if there's a new law tomorrow saying that if you breathe oxygen, we have to throw you in jail. So if they do that, how quickly could you get out of your country? And if they made another second law saying that if you're a citizen of your current location where you're at, you're not allowed to cross the border, do you have a secondary passport, or a third passport, or a fourth passport, or a fifth passport? Because they don't all allow you to go to every country, but having more diversified identifications, you know, we're always talking about freedom tribe here in Thriveolution, how to do that and have it basically where I am a citizen of the earth, but also we are looking at the current mechanisms in place to do what is the path of least resistance, and that is to be able to travel freely. They can't stop you if you have multiple ways of entering and exiting jurisdictions. So how do you navigate this current economy? We didn't mention earlier, when it comes to gold and silver, we do want to create sanctuaries for living and growing food, and also maybe even storing wealth around the world, scattered, diversified. We'll maybe create the service of having some storage facilities for bullion, so that you know it's already in the different jurisdiction. We're going to have maybe transportation networks to get you there, and then also have your money waiting for you in
we
different.
Have really, really big dreams here at Thriveolution. We're
and
all in.
You guys just wait until you see what we have. We're literally on the ground floor here, but we have so many things in motion. We have a wonderful team of people that are unbelievable. You need to get to know them. Just come to these calls every Tuesday. And also you can hang out in the breakout rooms after and get to know, we'll have different sectors with breakout rooms. You can get to meet people in different sectors. It's not just all about wealth. We have, you saw earlier, all the different tribes. But yes, you know, definitely have different passports and learn how to generate income from your phone or laptop. I used to say, make money from home. But where is home? Home is where the heart is. And so if you say now, it's better than when you say make money from your phone or laptop, because that gives more of an impression that you can travel and make money still. Right now, I could literally go to anywhere on the planet that has a Wi-Fi connection that's half decent, and I could continue making 100% of my current income. If I had to literally throw on a backpack in 5 seconds and leave this room and country. So how, you know, and it goes to having, you know, how can you do that, Robert? Well, it starts off with maybe you have to revisit even having what 95% of people do, which is having a self-employed or a employment with working a job. Maybe it's not good to have, that brings me to number one. Probably the most important thing you can do right now is to diversify your income streams, and meaning start with having more than one. because one is awfully close to zero. So fire your boss before they fire you. Create a side hustle or two or three. It doesn't, the average person wastes 4 or 5 hours per day. So no one has the excuse. How much time do you spend on social media scrolling? By the way, we created our own social media. It's thriveevolution.hub. You guys need to drop it in the chat. Check it out. We already got thousands of people on there. I'm going to give you the link to also for the WealthTribe hub, because this is basically giving you the power to, spend a little bit of time on social media and make a little bit of effort now on creating multiple streams of income. And there's different projects, and Thrivevolution is heavily vetting. In fact, they created the Shillit app that vets projects and opportunities to help avoid the garbage and the scams and help people research what is a real legit project, and then create multiple streams of income. Think of a table. How many legs does a table have? 4 usually. If you cut one off, it's not as bad as if you have, say, a table with 1 leg.
Pedestal.
Then you're toast, right? So you can't really eat on a sideways slanting table. So, work 1 hour a day to create a side hustle income that could potentially balloon into replacing 1 or 3 jobs. Working 40 hours a week you can then fire your boss, but start now. Don't wait for the proverbial crap to hit the fan. Start building the incomes now. You'll see you'll be empowered to be able to tell your boss to go shove it if you want. So, seek out residual income streams to pay for residual bills. And, this is probably the best tip I have, because I see it all the time. The current systems in the world aren't working. We all know that deep down there's something wrong. And that also expands out from governments and countries down to individuals. Just yesterday, I heard someone saying they're exhausted, they're working so hard as possible, and they still can't make ends meet. Maybe it's time to take a step back and revisit the systems that they have in place for their own personal life, where maybe taking a break for 1 hour to start something new, that can put you on the path of true freedom and sovereignty and thriving instead of just surviving. So, this is going to be something that we're going to be helping with in Thrivevolution, and creating with the WealthTribe opportunities. And we vet stuff to make sure that they're compliant so that they can be around for a very long time once you start succeeding in them. And they have to be paying you generously so that you're not wasting your time either. So with that being said, my name is Robert Patyk, and this is how you can get a hold of both myself and WealthTribe. I'm going to drop this in the chat.
I already put it in the chat already. They're in there.
All right, cool. And then there's also myself. If you're watching this as a recording, you can also feel free to book a free, no obligation, sit down with me. Let's schedule it. I want to help as many people as possible, impact other lives. But here's what I ask. I want 2 kinds of people: action takers and people that are change makers, that are going to do good once they've become wealthy. I want to help those that are going to do the most positive in the world, create a new world, a better world for future generations and kids. If that's you, and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of struggling, we have opportunities that are for both people that have wealth, how to rearrange it and shuffle it to thrive better and faster, and those that have no wealth are welcome, because we have mechanisms in place for you to start earning additional income streams, starting with even no investment almost. So, this is something that we can do and teach. And, that's all I have to say, other than, if you have any questions, we can do that. And like we do on each session, we have breakout rooms. And I guess if you do want to announce the next call, it's tomorrow. And that'll be at the same link you're on right now. And that's at 10 a.m. Pacific time every Wednesday. But for tomorrow, we were planning to talk a little bit about, since we talked so much about sound money today, what are the best ways to acquire it? Because I do have connections that, are better, larger supplies, and also perhaps cheaper. And there are ways to even earn perhaps free bullion, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. You have to be there. So thank you all for your time.
We have a giveaway now, and we do have a wheel ready. So if you want to stop sharing this,
awesome, let's do it. So who's going to talk about the NFT first before we spin the wheel, and maybe share your screen and talk a little bit about what is this NFT, who made it, and why it's such a big deal.
All right, who wants to jump on?
Because I could do that too.
If you want to do it, because I don't know who's on the call that I can't see everybody because I'm pinned, guys.
Yeah,
So
no problem.
do it.
So why don't I introduce it real quickly,
Oh,
and talk a little bit about what's going on, because with Thriveolution we have a wonderful team, and we've got actually them on the call too, the Shillet team, and also the app, and also the NFT division. But I'll go ahead and share my screen real quick and just show you briefly what this NFT is, because we do trade. By the way, it looks like I just hit the target that we set for 2 months ago for Bitcoin, so that's cool. Because yes, we do also have a community we're building in the crypto space, but you can see that
and those calls are on Thursday morning, same time.
Yeah. So we do have the meta degens, right? We're gonna give out.
I'll let you bring that up.
Right. So here, by the way, Thriveolution, we have our social media. So this is the community that's behind this NFT that is just growing. And make sure you guys are on here. Again, we'll drop the link in the chat. This is basically, you're going to see here, we did drop a group link here for WealthTribe also. You can see here is a section here we got for WealthTribe. And you can come in here, post stuff, just kind of like Facebook, but it's censorship free, pretty much, compared to, you're not going to be as strict as what you're seeing on Facebook.
You can say words that start with V and end with E and not get censored.
Yeah, so you can talk more here freely. So this is growing fast. This is the place where you want to go to. And there's going to be growing community, believe me here. And also we have we got here, let me find it. So we got shillet.app. Is that, yeah, here it is. So if you go to shillet.app, if someone drops that in the comment here, you can see a wonderful picture of the app that they have created in the team of Thriveolution for helping people vet. This is what attracted me to the
So helping people vet crypto. So for those of you like me who feel intimidated by crypto, this was made for you and I.
Yeah, and this is what attracted me to the community, because I love the fact that you're helping people dodge the bullets and avoid the shark infested waters and to navigate them safely. And it's the more you research, the better. I know that because I started when I was 10. If you look at 10 different charts, chances are you won't find as many good charts as if you look at 100 charts in the same amount of time. So this is saving you time for researching different apps and projects and opportunities out there. The community can help vet. We're looking for vetters that can help contribute research and comments for every project to really be transparent. We have no axe to grind when it comes to looking at these projects. We just want to simply help avoid people being rug pulled, scammed, and wasting their time, energy, and resources by helping them find one place to come and get faster researches on their team, the product. And here also you can see you can buy Shield. So there is actually a token attached to this app. And Thriveolution itself will be creating a whole blockchain and multiple tokens on our blockchain. So this is, you can see beta version and all this. So this is actually a token that you can use. You can go up here and click on Buy Shill, and it'll walk you through the steps how to do that if you're interested. Again, not financial advice. Do at your own risk and liability. But at the end of the day, it's early stages for a project that is building out in Thriveolution. I can tell you dozens of projects, and this is a movement that is growing really, really fast by the day. Even we're building more NFT collections. We're even making an NFT marketplace, hint, hint, our own e-commerce shop, academy. We got media. We got so many things down the road in the pipeline you want to be getting. So imagine how big this Thriveolution community will go just on our hub to back these values of these future prices of these NFTs. So right now, I believe we're going to spin the wheel for one of these meta degen collection NFTs. And I can show you.
You look at how many things you have open.
Oh yeah, this is just because I do a call every week about cryptocurrency, which has been highly accurate. Actually, last year we're almost doubling every month live on Facebook. And so I do a call also every Saturday for crypto. So right now we have a golden ticket that we're going to give away. And what that will do is it'll give you the ability to go to this website, metadegensociety.io, and that'll actually give you the ability to then come to this website and then click on this button you're seeing that says, get your golden ticket, and then translate that into the actual NFT when it's up and running. So this is, again, you're getting first dibs on this early project, and there will be a floor price. I'm just letting you know. So you definitely want to be one of the winners for these MetaDegens, which are actually going to give you the utility of getting special access also to that platform, the Shillit app. So let's go ahead, and you can see our wonderful Thrivolution team here is behind this NFT. And so let's go ahead and spin the wheel right now for one of these wonderful MetaDegens that you definitely want to have, because it's making history. It's literally the first NFT collection from Thrivolution, which also has its own token. And again, to get that, you can go to research it. You can go to shillit.app, which I'll drop in the chat.
Excellent. All righty. Are we ready, Markabati? Are you doing the wheel, or Christine, are you? I think
I'm ready. I'm ready to spin.
So this is for the free golden ticket NFT that you can then use to convert into a different NFT.
Okay. Can everyone see the spinning wheel?
We can.
Whoops. Okay. Here we go.
If you can share an optimized video, that would be great.
Too late.
Okay, it's spinning, guys. So who's the lucky winner of one NFT golden ticket?
Monique.
Congratulations, Monique. You're the wonderful winner of one of our golden tickets. You're definitely Wheel of Fortune. So, congratulations all for being here too, because you all, drop a 1 in the chat if you learned at least one thing today that you might have, not thought about before, and maybe you're starting to go ahead now to research more of in the future, and maybe start thinking you on the right path. So we could have waited another month to start releasing this information, but I was getting more and more nervous that I'm starting to see the warning signs already implementing, and I figured, what, we had the opportunity. I said, let's go for it. Let's just start showing some of the information, get the conversations going, show people where they can plug into our wonderful community and be a part of.
So
we want your solutions.
Let me wrap up here, because we're 20 minutes over our time, and
just can I say something before we go? Monique has left the call, so do we spin again? Because we don't know who Monique is.
she just said she was in the chat just now. She's my friend, so I know how to get in contact with her, but she did see that she got it.
Yeah, she did chat.
She did say thank you in the chat.
Perfect.
So thank you to everybody who is on the call today. Again, reminder, thrivetribehub.com, our social media app, the Shillit app you can download to learn which crypto projects you want to engage in. And Monique, congratulations for winning that golden ticket. And then Robert, there was one last thing. I believe you said you were going to give something away. It was Kevin or Alessio.
Yeah, whoever guessed how much the US dollar devalued over the last 24 months. I'm going to go back and double check it, but I'm going to save the chat. And I believe it was one of those two that was the closest, because it's just been dropping in value so fast. We already know over the last 100 years, it's dropped 99% of its value. And it's done that all over again in just the last 2 years. So definitely there's a lot of, people need to wake up. And you could be one of the heroes telling your friends, hey, did you know that you should be getting some crypto? If you don't know where to get it, now you know. If you don't know what's going on in the economy, there's a great place to come and learn from a trader of 28 years, very highly accurate. And he's willing to share his information.
And he's sharing it tomorrow morning. I got to stop you. He gave me permission to interrupt him, guys. He really did. Yeah. We got to wrap the call, but tomorrow morning, same time, same place, we will be talking buying gold and silver and the best ways to do that. So join us tomorrow, and thank you for joining us today. And if you are watching the recording for tomorrow will also be up if you didn't know about it in time. So this is all on Thrivolution Media on YouTube, so you'll be able to see all of it. Thank you so much. And now we're going to stop the recording and open it up.